welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon, or Mutilus, on the forum.
This is Parker, go by Dr. Mantis Toboggan, MD, on the forums.
This is Dormagu Constagon Gormago Gone.
What would...
Star.
I just want to point out, I did not forget my own name. I've been doing so many video game things lately that I couldn't remember if I was supposed to use my real name or my fake name. So I was like, but wait, do I say Brandon on this one? Yes, Brandon. But yeah, anyway. I'm interested to know what Dormammu's inhuman name would be, but I think you got pretty close.
I'm pretty sure I nailed it.
Wouldn't it be like Dormammu?
It would definitely be hyphenated, though.
Yeah. Dormammu Dark Dimension do something like that.
Darktagon.
Darkagon Dimensiono.
Yeah.
I think we got it.
Yeah. So anyway, quick announcements. We have 34 remaining probationary episodes for Parker.
Nice.
Good to know.
Take it away.
Parker.
All I got
Parker, you're just churning through them. I mean, at this rate, you'll only have 100 at episode 50.
I expect some more to come back as soon as our Dhampir Freighter comes out. I expect them to go climb up. I feel like this is going to be.
I'm impressed at your Dhampir discipline.
I'm doing
surprised
a good job.
You haven't said Blade in 2 episodes.
I've done a really good job of not saying his name.
We just have to, Jeremy, we have to say Blade a lot, and that way he knows that it's okay to say Blade until he does.
Okay.
If you haven't listened to an earlier episode, you got to go back a little bit to find out that Brandon made an arbitrary rule that I can't say his name.
No, you're allowed to say it. You just get a probation
That's
episode
right.
every time
That's
you
right.
do. Yeah.
He who shall not be named Blade.
That's a less ominous version of that. He who should not be named his name. Wait, whoa. Did you just say his name?
Blade.
Okay. All right. Speaking of he who not be named, we have a dastardly
All right,
dude.
Let's go into it.
News.
Blade,
All right,
Blade,
so
Blade,
our
Blade.
news is dominated by the ruler of the Dark Dimension, Dormammu. Dormammu
right.
is a new character.
Hold on. Whoa, calm down.
What?
You gotta slow this down, bro.
Okay.
First of all, who is Dormammu?
Okay.
What is Dormammu?
When
Second
is
of all,
Dormammu?
what is Dormammu? Third of all, when is Dormammu?
Right.
All of these are actually relevant questions.
Okay, go.
So Dormammu is the Lord of the Dark Dimension, evil despot. He is not actually he's not the only being in the Dark Dimension, and he's not the only potential ruler. There are actually kings and queens. Clea, the character, is going to come out with Doctor Strange later. We're going to see her spoilers probably next week or the week after that. She is actually one of the rightful rulers of the Dark Dimension, and Dormammu is a tyrant who's trying to take things over. So it's not like in the movies where he's just the only creature sentient left because he's screwed everything else. The Dark Dimension is just another dimension that happens to have Dormammu in it, and he is a giant sorceress asshole, being of immense power. The thing about him is if you worship Dormammu, you can siphon off his power from his dimension into our own, generally at the cost of your physical body and, of course, eventually your soul. So he's kind of like a devil-type figure. And
Does he get his power from the Dark Dimension, or is he just that powerful?
I think he's just that powerful. I don't know everything about his origin. I don't know if he's... In fact, I don't even know if he's like Galactus. Like, there's some Marvel characters that they've actually fleshed out their entire backstory. We know that Galactus was once a guy, just a person. And, things happened to him to make him Galactus. I don't know if we ever got Dormammu's backstory. I haven't looked at that deep. But, now I'm interested, though. But I will say that he is a very, very big baddie in the Marvel Universe. Because of his relationship to the Dark Dimension, he doesn't get to just cross over whenever he wants. Usually whenever he shows up in the comic books, he's like an avatar of himself. If he brought his whole body into the physical realm, he'd be functionally unstoppable. But he is hampered by the fact that the two dimensions, the Dark Dimension and this dimension, are not super compatible.
So he's very much like a demon, where he's just projecting a fragment of himself into our reality.
Yeah. He says he is maybe born millions of years ago. Yeah. Yep. So he's he's a member of the Faltine race, which is the Flames of Faltine is something that lots of sorcerers use, but Dormammu is a Faultine, and so he apparently and his sibling gathered enormous amounts of matter into themselves. So he's literally powered by like part physics, part mysticism.
He's like a black hole man.
Uh-huh. So I can read more.
Isn't there no time in the Dark Dimension though? Or is that just a movie thing?
Yeah. So Dark Dimension.
If he was born millions of years ago, is that relevant if he lives in the Dark Dimension?
I'm looking. So he was originally from the same dimension as the Faultine. He was a Faultine. Yeah, he gathered a huge amount of energy and matter, which basically allows them to start controlling things in their universe. Eventually, they killed their father together, and then left the Faultine dimension and went to the Dark Dimension. And it was a really relatively peaceful place until, of course, he showed up and started wrecking things. Cool. Dormammu also opened up a portal to the area, the dimension populated by the Mindless Ones, which are very popular Marvel bad guys who show up a lot. Think of them like super henchmen, right? They're literally mindless. They don't have a mind of their own, and they usually get controlled by some mystical person and forced to do what they want. They're giant hulking creatures, and they're functionally unstoppable because they have no like thought of their own self-preservation. They just go in whatever direction you point them in. And that's how Dormammu took over the Dark Dimension, apparently. I'm reading this, and I'm...
Sure.
Yeah. But,
that sounds a lot more interesting than him just being, like, the deity of some weird space dimension.
Right.
Where that has, like, no functional backstory. That sounds more interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. All right,
yeah.
So why don't you tell us about Mr. Dormammu?
So Dormammu, in this game, Marvel Crisis Protocol, he is a big boy. He's he is the biggest boy, I think, for his point cost. Just base point cost. He has 8 points. Size 5. Medium movement. On his front side, he has 10 health. On his back side, he has 12 health. He has 4 physical defense, 4 energy defense, and 5 mystic defense. So, right there, I feel like there's like stuff to talk about before we even get into these other stuff.
Yeah, so first off, I want to say, good luck getting covered, dumbass.
Mm-hmm. You can see Dormammu. You can see Dormammu.
You can basically always see Dormammu. He's also on fire, so that makes sense.
Right. I don't think he cares that you see him. He is not immune to throws, though. At first, you might see size 5 and you go, oh, immune to throws. You're like, well, he's immune to every throw that requires a size, but Thanos' punch, for example, still knocks him on his ass. Which I
believe there's actually multiples.
The only one I knew was Thanos' punch off the top of my head. Can you think of any others that knocks still?
I'm checking. They're all attacks.
Yeah.
Hail to the King on Kingpin. After damage is dealt, this character may throw the target short.
Yeah! Kingpin goes up and punches Dormammu in the kneecap.
Captain Chungus himself. Get in there.
Thor? Is Thor a 4?
I believe Thor says 4. I don't know if Hulk says.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure Thor says. 4 or less on Thor's throw.
Mm-hmm.
Hulk is not size capped.
Hulk's punch?
Hulk smash is not. He only throws on the
Good.
smash.
I was going to say, Hulk smash, he should get to knock around.
It should be the one, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that Thor cannot, but Kingpin can. Well, also, like, Thor's hitting you with a hammer, so it kind of makes sense that he can't throw you with a hammer, I guess, is kind of the concept. Like, the whole point is, like, he's hitting you with enough momentum that the hammer sends you flying.
Yeah.
But Dormammu, I could actually see that a size 5 person couldn't be thrown by that. So that's not incredibly annoying.
It's funny. It's just funny that Kingpin goes up and just whacks him in the knee.
Should not be able to, yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Those are the only people I can think of offhand.
Oh, he's immune to stagger.
So we got at least 3 people that can throw him.
Yep. So, of course, also he's got the biggest single stat line without spending power defensively with 4-4-5.
Yep.
But we'll talk about his superpowers. That's it. That's the only defense he has. He has no defensive manipulation of any other kind. And
we've seen how good that is on other characters.
Right.
Like
right.
Hela.
So,
Yeah.
Exactly. Or Angela.
Angela, Hulk, all great hard to kill models.
Right, or at least
Very hard.
Angela. At least you can't mod your attack dice, right? So like, there's
Yeah,
something. But,
Hela. Yeah, sorry. Angela's actually more defensive than Dormammu. She just has
Yeah.
less hit points.
yeah. So yeah, Dormammu. If you see that stat line, you go, oh my gosh, look at all this defense. It's like, well, that's it. That's all. But he does have some attacks. First attack is called Shadow Bolt. It is an energy attack, range 4 with 6 dice. It has Hex on a wild and Sap Power on a wild. It does not gain power for damage dealt. It is Hex and Sap Power, that's it. So he cannot gain power by attacking.
His
Big
attacks
deal.
do not generate tower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second one, which is Incantation of Obliteration, is a Mystic Attack, range 3, 8 dice for 5 power. If he rolls a crit, hit, block, and skull, he gets Dark Miasma. After this attack is resolved, he may immediately make an additional Incantation of Obliteration without paying the power cost. The additional attack must target a character within 2 of the original, so he cannot target the same character twice. So the first thing I thought when I saw his attacks were, wow, what meh. Like, what
Modoc's
incredible
chair. I mean, Modoc's chair is cheaper and question mark better.
Yeah.
It's more consistent for sure.
Yeah.
And it's longer range. Yeah.
There is one way for his attacks to get a little bit bigger. We'll talk about that when it gets down to his powers.
We'll get to it.
But just if your opponent doesn't, we'll talk about how your opponent's dice, can help him. But just with his dice, if you're looking at what he does with his dice, it's just his dice, and the fact that he doesn't get any power for it, man, he seems like a. So let's go ahead and talk about his affiliation, which is one of the most unique. I'll go ahead and say the most unique affiliation in the game so far. Flames of the Faltine. Affiliation for Dark Dimension. If Dormammu is included in the squad, that squad is affiliated with Dark Dimension and must use this leadership ability. This character and each other character you control gains 1 additional power during the power phase. During the power phase, if another allied character has 6 or more power, it suffers 1 damage.
I think the concept here is saying that he has like manipulated these other characters and they're under his control, right?
Or they're disciples, right? They've said we will worship you to get your power, right? So so they're all disciples of the Dark Dimension, and that so he's granting them their power, but because it's Dark Dimension power, he takes a physical toll on you if you try to take too much of Dormammu's abilities. So I went deep in the think tank, like thinking about who would love 2 power a turn. The first thing I thought, obviously, was I feel like this is the first mercenary affiliation kind of we have. We've talked before about having a non-affiliation list and whether or not that works. This is kind of like a non-affiliation list because there's 0 model restrictions. If you put Dormammu on the table, it is a Dark Dimension list, which means you could have
both of your other characters are affiliated.
Yes. So every character is always affiliated, which is super interesting because it totally changes the paradigm of how you think about things. Because usually you think, okay, how can I get 3 characters into my list every time, right? That's the general way you build. There's some lists that you're thinking 2 characters, but
I guess that's true. I haven't really thought about that yet because if you have a list you want to play, but none of them work together, and you have potentially 8 points sitting around, then you can just kind of do whatever you want with Dormammu. That is something.
Yeah. The biggest thing I think one of the solutions for him is there are a lot of fantastic 3-point characters that you can't put them all in the same list and still get an affiliation, right? So 3 points and 2-point characters, because 4-point characters are going to be hard to take with him because he's 8 points already. It's possible, but it's difficult. I think there are some amazing 3-point and 2-point characters out there that will love just having 2 power a turn and not have to care about their affiliation. For example, Shuri. If Shuri started the first combat with 4 power sitting on her, and she's always going to get at least 2, she's probably going to get some over the course of the turn whenever she does attacks. Like, she's always going to have rerolls. Your whole list will have rerolls. Dormammu doesn't have rerolls anywhere on his card, but if Shuri's with him, now he has rerolls. A lot of rerolls.
I don't know if 1 more power a turn is what's going to make Shuri broken. She's already gets tons of power. But yeah, I understand where your mind's at.
Right. Domino is another one that doesn't get power proactively, but loves to have power proactively. So Domino will now, never roll skulls. Basically, skulls will not exist on her card. If she starts the first engagement with 4 power, she's going to be not rolling skulls anymore. She's going to be turning every skull into a crit. Any regenerate.
Oh, but
go ahead.
Clearly, this means that we need to put Ebony Maw in here, then, right? He just needs a little bit more power.
He just needs. That's all he does.
Then he'll just randomly die because he actually gets like
yeah.
You give him an Infinity Stone, he gets 6 a turn and dies.
So speaking of taking damage, any regenerator works well too. Go ahead.
So I really like the whole just the game aspect of doing this with him. Like, there's no way to game this. You can't say I have him and I'm going to do, a different affiliation or a different whatever. Like, it just says if you do him, here's what you get. And I really love that they didn't paint themselves in a corner with this humongous model and suddenly he's Wakandan, with crazy shit.
Or what if an affiliation came out that gave you damage reduction? Where it wouldn't be that big of a deal on a model, but a 22 hit point model, that matters a lot. So it allows them still creative freedom in the future while also having a lot of theme to it. I think it's a good rule. I agree with you.
And also 8 points.
You don't have to worry about random weird stuff. Dormammu doesn't fight for others. Dormammu is Dormammu. Yep. The only way he's fighting in a group is if they're under his control. So it fits theme perfect, and it allows for a lot of creative space moving forward. Go ahead.
Well, before we move on, the one other thing I wanted to point out, because we talked about his threat. 8 points is a wonderful threat. 2 4-point models almost never makes me happy. So I'm always I'd rather have an 8.
Or a 5/3 is pretty common as well. Usually you have your one elite model and then a throw-in guy that kind of works with them. Well, you kind of just have both in one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty easy to get to most of the point totals from 8 as well. 8 and 6, 8 and 2 3s.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get to 15, you have 8 4 3. There's a lot of situations where you can get to convenient point totals from 8.
Yeah, and there are a lot of characters that would love to have 4 power at the start of engagements and wouldn't care about taking damage. Like Wolverine would love to be able to proactively use all of his stuff, or Medusa would love to be able to throw power out to move characters around her. There are a lot of really cool 4-point characters that would love to have 4 powers.
I didn't think about that. Medusa moving Dormammu around.
Yeah,
that would be really annoying.
Yeah, Medusa. I think Medusa's going to be really strong with him. I think if you want to be proactively with usually reactive characters, any character that you've sat there going, man, if I only had 1 more power, or most combat starts at the second turn. So if I only had 4 power to engage first or do something fun. Also, every tactics card that takes 4 power that's really hard to play, generic tactics card, well, now you can plan on having it because all your characters are going to get 2 power a turn. So a lot of tactics cards that normally you might struggle to play because they're too expensive are definitely going to see play with some characters like Dormammu around. One thing to remember, and Brandon, you mentioned it really fast, the way the timing works in this game, if your character gains already 2 power a turn, they will be taking auto damage on turn 2 because you resolve...
Unless you find a way to dump it, yeah.
Right, unless you spend it somehow. So unless you have a plan for it, you're going to do that. Another funny character I thought of who would like to have extra power on turn 2 is maybe Sinister. I think that'd be funny. Sinister would be funny with him.
That fixes the problem with him, the order of activations issue.
Right. Also having Sinister, adding an extra person on his team might, having Dormammu and then an extra person, that sounds awesome. So Sinister Dormammu might be a thing too.
I don't know how that list looks because Dormammu and Sinister seem kind of similar. They do damage, but that's not all they do. They're not exceptional at just murder housing people, and they're very elite models. They have a lot of rules that are very intricate. I don't know. I think it's hard to put into words, but yeah, they're both very similar in kind of the way they go about the game.
But
they're trying to outlast you more than kill you.
Right. But basically, any character you can think of that you currently have to do something like advanced R&D to make something happen, now you just play with Dormammu. Or just characters. I mean, Dormammu with a bunch of 2 and 3 pointers that are really efficient should work well. Other powers that Dormammu has, not of this dimension, is an active power. Place this character within range 2 of its current position. This superpower can only be used once. It costs 3. So it costs 3 for him to do that. Then feel the power of darkness. After an attacking character, after an attack targeting this character is resolved, he may use the superpower for 2. The attacking character is pushed away from the character's short and gains Hex. If the attacking character already has Hex, it gains Incinerate. So at face value, you would probably look at that at first and you go, okay, well, almost every reactive power that costs 2 in the game is usually goes off unless I'm taking damage. Unless they did no damage, right? So you're happy either way. Like I took 2 damage, but I get to do my thing in reaction, or I took no damage and that's great. Their attack didn't do anything. But Dormammu is one of those where this doesn't work as well for the last one. So before we talk about Feel the Power of Darkness, I want to talk about the Master of the Realm of Darkness, because there's one big thing on there. I'm just going to read the first line and we'll come back to it. When this character suffers damage from an enemy effect, it gains 1 power instead of the power equal to the damage suffered. He is permanently stunned. Permanently.
From damage, yes.
Yes. So he only ever gains 1 power at a time. No, he only ever gains 1 power at a time, period. Except for when he powers up at the beginning of the turn. Oh, and by the way, if he has 6 power at the beginning of the turn, he takes a damage. So he does it to himself. So right now, the way that he gains power is limited by not only his attacks don't gain power, but he doesn't gain. He only gains 1 power for taking any amount of damage. So you Feel the Power of Darkness sounds like something you would usually have available to you when you read it at first. On any other character, you're like, oh man, he could constantly be pushing people away with that huge health pool. Is going to be doing it all the time. But he actually won't because he's permanently stunned for damage anyway. So I think this is a huge balancing point for him. I think the giving him that, with this character suffers damage, it only gains 1 power instead of power equal to the damage suffered. That means that he won't get an insane amount of power. Maybe I'm wrong and everyone will be walking around with 8 power Dormammus, but I don't think that's the case. He is not going to be like Thanos or Magneto in his faction, or even Cabal even, where he feels like he's always has 8 power to spend. I don't think he'll have. I think he'll usually be strapped for power. He'll usually be starving for it.
I think it's weird they add in a model that has 10 on one side and 12 on the other. Just kind of a non sequitur from that ability, going back to something like when he's dazed, you can stop, damaging him instead of continuing on to the rest of his life pool, which will make him really hard to kill.
Well, I think at that point it's gonna be hard to ignore him because he's gonna be coming at you real hard. But yeah.
Well, see, I don't know if he can come at you real hard. That's the thing. Like, if you,
8 dice Mystic counting skulls is not nothing.
And also, every time you damage his friends, he gains power for that. That's what it says.
Yes. So when another allied character is damaged by an enemy effect or by Flames of the Fall Team, the character gains 1 power.
Yeah, he's going to have power.
Well, yes, if you don't damage... if you damage Dormammu, if you just focus on Dormammu, I think he'll be power starved. I don't think
he will. The number of times you're going to have to attack him, unless you
got to deal with his army, too.
Yeah. Well, not even that. Not even to mention, you could just bring bodyguards. How is Okoye not going to make this list? But even beyond that, we're talking about every time you attack him, and he's got 4 physical counting skulls. He's gonna defend. He's not gonna go crazy.
Nope. He does not count skulls. Read his. I was wrong with that.
Additionally, this character, when calculating successes or failures, this character's attacks. Okay, so just not on defense.
Right.
No, that's a misprint.
No, it's not a misprint.
When calculating successes or failures of this character's attacks, this character adds the number of skulls to both its attack and defense rolls.
No.
For total successes.
No.
What am I misreading?
Not his. So whenever he does any... So let's read the rest. So what Brandon's
saying that your
is
opponent gets skulls as well?
Yes. So the way the Master of the Realm of Darkness works, the second power, second sentence, it says, when he ever attacks, you add his skulls as successes and your opponent's dice's skulls as successes to his attack. So if he rolls 2 skulls and your opponent's defensives rolls 2 skulls, you add that 4 onto any other successes that you got. So the first time you
So
read
it's even better on offense, but it doesn't work on defense.
right. So he just has 4-4-5. That's it. But what he even though he just has 4-4-5, that's it. His attacks can really explode. Also, it means that your opponents who can roll a lot of defense dice, like Magneto can spend to get a lot of defense dice, Captain America can spend to a lot of defense dice. If you add a lot of defense dice into your pool, you better hope those don't come up as skulls, or else it's exactly the opposite of what you were trying to do. You spent power to mitigate damage. Instead, you spent power to give Dormammu more damage on you.
I mean, that's a massive statistical anomaly that you're going to roll more skulls than blocks. But yeah.
The idea is it makes those kind of abilities more risky than they are normally.
That's really interesting.
I don't know that it makes it more risky. I understand that the potential is there, but you're talking about like 1% of 1%. Like, you're still massively more likely to block more than you roll skulls by every die you add.
Right.
You're 3 times likely per die at a minimum to get a block than a skull. It's like 3.5 times as likely. Okay. So I don't think it's
what I'm saying is
that should not prevent you from rolling more dice. That you should encourage you to roll even more dice, so that way you see a better curve.
Right. I'm not saying that rolling a dice against his attacks is a bad thing. I'm just saying that there's a potential to spike higher. So that's so we've gone through this whole card. The exception, of course, he flies. He's immune to bleed, incinerate, so he's never losing those defense dice. Unless you have some other way to make him lose defense dice.
Right.
And
we don't need to list all the exceptions.
Right. But he is immune to stagger as well. So he is a really interesting bag. I think if you have a bunch of protectors with him, that is a way for you, obviously, to get more power. But if you don't play a lot of protectors with him, I don't see how he has a lot of power. He's permanently stunned. Anybody who's ever been stunned and couldn't shake it into game can tell you it is monstrously choking. It's so choking in this game to be stunned.
He doesn't need to use power though. Like, look at his kit. Like, his big attack is nice. I don't know if it's worth 5 power nice, but it's nice. He has sap power on his attack, which is not nothing, but it's not super useful. But like, what does he need power for? To move? Like, he gets 2 a turn. He's gonna get at least 1 more. So he gets to place himself. Like, I don't think he really needs that much power. I think Feel the Power of Darkness you save for, like, the really important turns. Like, you've got someone like Valkyrie moves in on you. It's like you can just get her away so she only gets the 1 attack.
He just seems like a tank, man. He's a tank. He's a tank that can hit you 2 to 4 times with his ability, and you're not going to be able to kill him in the length of a game. Like, but he's 8 points. I mean, it's for 8 points, he feels right. Like, not playing him yet, obviously, but he seems about right. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know that he seems good or bad to me.
Yeah.
I'm more excited now that I've put some more thought into it than when I first read the card. But yeah, when I first read it, I'm like, okay, he's kind of meh. But now I'm thinking about it, it could work.
I mean, he's a size 5.
Crazy.
You can't push him off of shit. Like, I mean, mostly he cannot be moved, which is amazing.
A lot of pushes don't have a size requirement.
Yeah, I was
really?
gonna say a lot of pushes. So this is actually something fun to do with. I thought of some fun model interactions, and that's the first one, Jeremy. If you want to, if you're willing to take a 13-point module, Jean Grey makes him immune to every movement shenanigan in the game, except for the non-size restricted attack throws, like Thanos' punch. So he cannot be pushed by any effects, he cannot be moved by any effects, and since he's size 5, he can't be thrown. So if you use Jean Grey with Dormammu, he is there, unless Thanos or Hulk punches him.
Is that it?
Yep. Or Kingpin. So if that's it. He is there. There's no other. I studied all the effects in the game. Maybe somebody can find one that I couldn't find. But Jean Grey makes him immune to every movement shenanigan except those 3 throws. So
it is strange that you have an 8-point model who doesn't have a throw or a push.
Yep.
I find that weird, but maybe that's. I mean, it's obviously on purpose.
Yeah.
He might be broken if he had that. Maybe.
Yeah.
I can't find Jean Grey's card. Do you have it?
It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist on MCP. I have it in front of me. I took it out just in case you wanted it.
Can you read the ability out loud, please?
Yep. Shield Mind costs 2 power. when this character or an allied character within 4 of it would be advanced, placed, or pushed by the effects of an enemy psychic attack or superpower, you may use this superpower. Oh, wait, so Shuri could also do it, couldn't she?
Yeah.
Because hers is not
anybody that has a push attack.
But
it turns
almost
out
all the
none
pushes
of none of the fucking mystic attacks actually push you.
So
the only ones that do are like Enchantresses and Loki's Spender attacks. Those are like the only mystic attacks that actually move people.
Funnily, so my favorite thing about this character is how I think very strategic they were about his interactions with Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange, if he attacks him with the Bolts of Bedevilment, he can use the Field of Power of Darkness to push Doctor Strange away. And then Doctor Strange uses the Bolts of Bedevilment to pull him towards him. I have come to bargain.
That's what I'm saying though. Like there's a lot of attacks that can push him.
Right, I'm just saying that's a good example. Jean Grey doesn't stop that. Also, the Eye of Agamotto, which is Doctor Strange's lets him re-roll skulls. So if you roll a bunch of skulls and he's about to kill him, you can re-roll those with the Eye of Agamotto, which is hilarious because in the comic books, the Eye of Agamotto is one of Dormammu's big foils. Like he can't deal with that thing. And it's one of the reasons why Doctor Strange always has an advantage against him. The Dormammu struggles with the Eye of Agamotto. So
not to mention that he's not immune to activated tokens.
Yeah. Yep. Dormammu also.
How bad would it feel if you just got an activated token with Dormammu?
Exactly.
Like, well, I guess Okoye and Shuri are going to beat you to death now.
Yep. He's not immune to stagger, but he can be activated. So I love how Doctor Strange has come to bargain, and almost all of Dormammu's rules that make him kind of silly are snuffed out by Doctor Strange. I think it's wonderful. I think it's absolutely delightful that Doctor Strange gives the big middle finger to a lot of Dormammu's nonsense. Other interesting interactions that I could find. If Domino has power, she's kind of immune to his nonsense about being attacked. She won't ever give her skulls to him as damage because she can change her skulls away. Great responsibility. The Web Warrior's ability on Miles does let you reroll skulls on defense. So a lot of Web Warriors, if they're close to scenario tokens, can Master the Realm of Darkness won't be able to hurt them with their own dice. Another one that will avoid some of that damage. But I think he's super cool, but he's definitely balanced. Definitely balanced.
Yeah, I don't think he's crazy. I think he'll be a fun addition to the game because he doesn't seem like an unfun play experience. It just seems very different than the rest of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm super psyched with him and a bunch of wizards.
Yeah. I haven't spent any time thinking about it, but other than just what we've done here. But so we know Hulk, Thanos, and Kingpin can throw him, and then Shuri, Doctor Strange, and Black Panther can push him.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's probably more. And also keep in mind, if you were to play Jean Grey with Dormammu, I think it would be an absolute atrocity.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you played against Doctor Strange, he's like, I'll spend 1 power to make this a physical attack. And you're like, no! Yeah. like my thing doesn't even work now!
Yeah.
I would love to see the list where they play Dormammu and you played 9-point Thanos, and you're like, how about I walk the dog with Dormammu? Like you just place him walking, place him walking, place him walking.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it would be that bad because he's ranged. It would be one part. He can place himself, and I think you're gonna take someone that can also like help him move as well. But yeah, it would not be particularly great.
I think this guy with the dog and Medusa are both really strong.
The dog, Medusa, Shuri, Okoye are all great choices. Wong is also not bad because he can remove negative effects, heal him. Think about how many times you can heal him when they can't actually get him dead.
God, Wong would be a nightmare.
Also, Wong getting 2 power. Wong getting 2 power every turn actually lets him do everything. Like,
yeah, it lets him do everything, and he just feeds Dormammu power.
Right.
Ooh, you heard it here, folks. First.
Turns out he has a lot of interactions with wizards.
He likes the wizards.
Yeah. Also, Mordo's going to show up and make him roll 10 dice on his big attack, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, I took a damage. The end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
I took
no, enemy
5% of my health and damage. 5%. No, it's not even 5%. It's like 3.5%.
Yeah, Mordo would be great with him. 8 dice on his non-spender is freaking crazy.
What if you just did Mordo and Thanos? That's 17.
God.
And then you could Death Degree him. And you could just feed him all day.
Thanos will be taking 1 damage. Wait, does Thanos take 1 damage a turn? Because it's not.
It's enemy effects.
Yep. So Thanos would take 1 damage a turn always, right? Because he's
No, he
constant.
wouldn't.
He would always have 6 power after power up, right?
He could dump it with Cosmic Blast.
I guess he could try. Yeah.
Because he'd move twice, Omega Beam somebody, and then all right, whatever.
If you never
No
get.
biggie.
If you never.
Also, he can
get
Cosmic Portal Dormammu, which would be awesome.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
He just Cosmic Portals Dormammu forward. Get up there, buddy. Go over there. 4 power a turn Thanos. That's pretty cool.
What's really-
Thanos
I know what
plus him.
Jeremy's
Ugh.
doing.
I
know what
yeah, I
Jeremy's
am doing it. Fuck yeah.
So that was the one thing I wanted to say about him that I don't like is I feel like this is one more thing. Let's play 3-character Marvel Crisis Protocol at every point level,
2 characters.
or 2 characters, sure.
2 characters.
And
And
this is
people are
actually
going to learn. People are going to learn how to play Crisis. It's a crisis situation at that point, man.
Mhm. Oh no, yeah, I think you'd lose. It'd be the most fun loss of your life.
It would be.
Yeah.
Look at all the cool stuff I got to do, and your opponent would be like, I won 16-1. You're like,
Yeah.
don't matter, I did all the stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
I shoved this fucking 9-foot Inferno Beast right up your ass. How tall is he supposed to be? Because he's on a large base, right? And he actually takes up the large base. So I think he's going to be 7 or 8 inches tall, which would be the equivalent of 15 feet tall, I think, in game. Maybe 20.
In the comics, he can just be whatever size, right? He's not.
Right, but I'm just asking, I don't know if there's an intended size scale or anything that you've seen.
Mm.
The fact that he's semi-random in size, then it makes it kind of irrelevant, I guess. Because Hulk too, Hulk is random heights based on what situation is going on right now. Hulk can be anywhere from 9 to 20 feet tall.
I think it's awesome they keep doing stuff in this game where you just kind of scratch your head and I'm like, well, holy shit, that's pretty cool. It's not more of the same. It's not, they didn't mash 2 guys together.
They're definitely not worried about pushing the limits.
No.
They want to do what they want to do, which I like.
Absolutely.
Because you know that they had passion about this project.
Mhm.
The model's actually really cool. But who would have thought to make this guy initially, right? What are the odds? You don't start making a little miniatures game, but what are you going to add to the game in the first year? Dormammu. You're just you're not, what? What's wrong
Yeah.
with you? We're going to do Dormammu and Cassandra Nova. I'm okay, let's just pump the brakes, guys.
Well, think about it. When we first started playing, we're like, number 1, who's MODOK? Okay, that doesn't make any sense. And then they're like, we're going to also make Hulk. And you're like, oh, well, that's going to break the game wide open. How are you going to do that?
Yeah.
And you figure
Don't worry,
out,
we fixed it.
Yeah.
He will not break the game.
He's not any good.
Yeah. All right, Parker. What you got? Any more of these sweet killer combos? Yet?
I think that was all the things I could figure out so far. But I'm sure I'm going to comb more things. We'll figure out more stuff.
I'm reading through your notes here. You just typed over and over and over again. He is permanently stunned.
Yeah. I still think that
You said he has no proactive movement abilities,
He
but
doesn't?
he has a place. He
No.
places himself.
no other characters. He's not moving your opponents in any way proactively whatsoever.
Oh, you're saying he doesn't have board control?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, he can move himself. Yeah, he has a place. But
Whatever.
I think one of the things I think it's going to be fun list building with him is we also don't know is there tactics cards, right? So there probably going to be a Dark Dimension tactics card, probably, or a Dormammu.
Oh, I'm
tactics
certain
card.
there will.
Um,
Absolutely.
Well, that was actually one point I wanted to bring up, is that because he's always affiliated, and it says specifically his squad, and if Dormammu is clear squad, that squad is affiliated with Dark Dimension.
Mm-hmm.
So if is that all characters? Can you play Dark Dimension it won't really matter in this example, but what if there's another character that has an ability like this? And so, what if you've got 4 people in your faction, and there's a card that says Dark Dimension character May? can they all use it because they're all affiliated? It says they're affiliated. Or is there just referencing that your squad counts as affiliated like a rogue agent would? I think it's probably the rogue agent path.
Probably. I don't think it'll be like a card that says... my guess is it'll probably be the affiliation Dark Dimension card.
There probably will
Dormammu
be.
can.
Which will only matter if there's more Dark Dimension characters than Dormammu, but I think there will be. I think that Mordo will be Dark Dimension.
He could be. Mordo could be, if they're going with the comic books, he absolutely is. And Hood could be. Because the Hood is 100% Dormammu affiliation.
Cool. Is there anything else you guys wanted to say about Dormammu?
He gets 4 pizza rolls.
4 pizza rolls?
Yep.
I'm gonna give him 3.5 pizza rolls. I don't think he's gonna be that great. I think he's gonna be a lot of fun though.
Fun level is awesome. So
fun level's at least 5 pizza rolls.
Yeah.
Parker?
I give him 2 pizza rolls. I don't want to play Dormammu.
Shut up.
Pessimist.
You're wrong.
Off the podcast.
God
I don't
damn it.
like bad guys.
I don't
Oh,
like
Jesus.
bad guys.
That's just your opinion, man.
That's
why I play such fun lists like criminals.
I didn't say everyone should hate Dormammu. I said I give him 2 pizza rolls. The one thing I am excited about him about. I will say this. The one thing I do think is super cool is he's the first like mercenary kind of affiliation, right? The idea that anytime you've ever been like, oh man, I really want to play these 3 models together. They're cheap enough to play together, but I can't possibly put them in an affiliation, so I'd have to go unaffiliated. If you have 8 points when you're saying that, he could actually now do that. I think
Ronan,
if only I could
Ghost
spend
Rider.
8 points and become affiliated.
Right.
This list would be good.
That's happened
I
before.
say that at least once a day.
That's happened before. Is there a way to play? Yeah, because most of the time you're spending at least 3, 3, 2. So yeah,
It only costs 3
8 points
points
is-
to get affiliated.
Yeah. What?
It only costs 3 points to get affiliated.
No, it does, because you usually have to play 2 other characters that you want, right?
No, you just take just a 3-point leader.
So you take a 3-point leader and then 2 other characters in that affiliation.
No, just Miles affiliated. You can't take anybody else.
So the
it's
point
legally
is,
affiliated.
the point is that if you have the I think you guys are originally, what you mentioned earlier about him being 8 points, I think it is really intentional also, because it actually allows for a lot of list building around him, because the cheapest way to get most affiliation is 3-3-2, right? Like Guardians, Groot, Rocket, Star-Lord gets you affiliated with that faction. But there aren't many ways to get the affiliation for 8 points. The fact that you get an affiliation for 8 points, and it's not a bad affiliation, in fact, it's really interesting, and it allows characters to do all kind of things early game and maybe late game that they normally couldn't, with cool tactics cards and abilities that cost 3, and there's all kind of things you can do with this that bends some of the curves of the game.
I see what you're saying with that.
That's really
I
cool.
don't personally agree, because I think it's fairly easy to find an affiliation that has... Sure, it might cost you 9 or 10 points to become affiliated, which is against what you're saying. But so rarely is that like a wasted 9 points. And while I don't think Dormammu is just dead weight, he's obviously going to do stuff.
Right.
I don't know how much I appreciate an affiliation that says gain 1 power. While it's better than some affiliations, it doesn't actually, just like we were talking about last week, it gives you 0 like onus on how to win the game other than just kill your opponent. And I don't know that taking 1 8-point model is the best way to kill your opponent. Now, obviously building around him can help that happen, but I don't know. I don't think the affiliation is that good until we see the tactics cards, and if there's tactics cards that synergize well with it, then I might change my mind. But right now, just spending 8 points to say my characters get 1 power and have less health seems meh.
There are a lot of characters. I think maybe I'll look to find out exactly how many. Maybe I'm wrong. There's not a lot. Maybe there's just 2 that I'm thinking of. But there are characters out there that would love to have proactively 4 power at the start of turn 2. And
Sure.
And you wouldn't you're not willing to play advanced R&D just to make that happen, because you're also limiting what other characters can do, and you're taking a tactics slot. But the fact that you just get that on Dormammu, I think is really good. I think just like any other game, just like any other affiliation, you want to play characters that take advantage of the affiliation, right? But the fact that Dormammu lets you do that, and there's no model restrictions on what you do, right? There's no like, oh man, I gotta somehow fit 3 extra points in here to make him affiliated, or I gotta take I got to take a rogue agent. So you're like, well, I'm not worried about rogue agents. I don't worry about any of that stuff. I'm just going to take this character that's going to take advantage of this ability in this way that I want. I don't
I get that. I tend to play more thematic lists where I have a lot of affiliated characters. So it's usually not a problem for me to get affiliated. Like, I usually don't even think about it. But I understand that that's not the case with every affiliation. It's not the case with every person's playstyle. So obviously the more you care about doing like a min-max squad that has, you're just abusing an affiliation bonus. I get that, but you're not abusing a affiliation bonus. You have to abuse this affiliation bonus.
Right. Oh, that's the big limiting factor. You can't take it with any other affiliation. Yeah. So you can't.
I know you recognize that. I'm just saying in general, it's like, this isn't, I don't think this is groundbreaking because if you wanted to spend 8 points, you could become affiliated. Like, if you were willing to just dump 8 points into something that doesn't synergize so that you got a leadership ability, I think you'd be better off just not taking a leadership ability if that was the situation you were in.
Right.
But I get that it's good to have the option, and I think it's cool and interesting.
Yeah.
It's just not, I don't think it's for me. If I was to play Dormammu, I would be playing Dormammu, and everyone else there would be there exactly thematically just to make Dormammu's time better.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you could definitely make a Dormammu Tower of Power where he's just, getting to do everything he wants and gives the middle finger to everybody else.
The thing I wanted to point out, though, is when is the leadership going to negatively affect you the most, right? What turns are you going to have where you start with 6 power? When is that going to happen? And to me, it's extremely obvious, right after you get dazed. Well, if you're just starting your injured side down a hit point for no reason at that point, because you already have basically all the power you could possibly want, then that's not great. That's a noticeable downside.
Oh my god. And do you just play cubes against this guy? Like, if somebody has it in their list, you're just like, you're playing
that
cubes.
Seems, yeah, exactly. Like, it might make cubes more interesting, but just there's a lot of characters that have low health in that, like MODOK and stuff, and it's possible, not likely, but possible that you lose priority. I know you have an 8-point character, but I think everyone here is kind of thinking build support around him. And so you're going to have a lot of 2 and 3 point models around him. You might not have a tiny roster, right? We talked about the Thanos thing, but we all know that that's not going to work, right? Like, you're going to lose. Now, it might be fun, but you will lose. I think a 3 model list is probably the first reasonable option. And I think you'll see him with a lot of 4 model lists. Mm-hmm. But if you just lose priority and you get a couple people dazed and they just start down a hit point, how bad is that first turn going to be? Like, they might just take 2 people out of nowhere.
That's one of the reasons why my first thought about him was, like, if I'm going to build a Dormammu list, I'm thinking basically X-Force and Regenerators. So that I'm not losing anything for that turn. Also, it just so happens that Wolverine, Sabretooth, Nebula, Deadpool to a lesser extent, but Wolverine, Nebula, and Sabretooth love having 3 or 4 power at the start of their second turn. Because Wolverine can be proactive and go at them with 2 abilities that lets him attack from longer range away and then get it stuck in. Sabretooth loves to have extra power sitting on him, so your opponent is scared of hitting him. And then he can do his really big dish out attacks. Also, he doesn't mind being damaged a couple times because he gets stronger when he does that. Nebula loves to be able to place early so she can start stabbing people, whoever she wants. So she doesn't have to be within range 2 at the start of the turn. She can just use her spender to be next to somebody and start hitting him with rerolls, and she heals also. So, like, there's already 3 characters in the game that I know of that can place themselves or can move on your opponent's turn if they're just sitting on a bunch of power. And then also, when they activate, they don't take any damage. They functionally erase the damage from his ability.
Well, you could also think of it as his leadership is erasing their healing factor at that point. Like, I get that you have to take damage for that to be relevant.
Right.
But what 8 points in your X-Force list are you just wanting to throw out the window to replace with Dormammu? Because remember, if they're not helping him, he might be an 8-point paperweight.
I like playing X-Force as X-Force. I want to play X-Force. I don't want to play Dormammu. I still told you. I still say 2 pizza rolls. I'm just saying.
I don't think adding Wolverine and Sabretooth to Dormammu is the way to win games, but it does have synergy. I just think you're synergizing the wrong way. I think it's about making Dormammu good, not making other models played with Dormammu slightly better. Mm-hmm. Like, if you wanted that, you would just play Avengers with those characters. Mm-hmm. Right,
and that's exactly that is another point that I came up with. I was like, wait a minute, isn't all the models that want to spend 3 just better if they could spend 2 and not take damage ever.
Fuck, just play Wong and pick who gets the power.
Right.
Like, it's not that. And the Sabretooth thing, Sabretooth doesn't need power. The whole point
Right.
of Sabretooth is he doesn't need power. Because they're afraid to punch you, because if they deal damage, then you kill them. You don't
Right.
need the 2 power
to
first.
sit on him, right? Yeah.
It just makes it more annoying, because
Mm.
that means that, exceptional healing's in play.
Mm.
But the only way that would matter is if they do, like, 5 damage on the first attack.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's irrelevant. The
I-
Nebula thing is semi-relevant. Jeremy, go ahead.
No, he just kind of feels like he's missing. He is missing a throw. He's missing a third attack. I think his special attack that can go off for free twice or 4 times. Like, I can't imagine that actually happening more than once in like 30
No.
games. But
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think he's going to be the next Hulk. I think he's going to be a dead model that is really super fun to play. But I don't think
Mhm.
he's going to see much when it comes to like. He's so super scary. He has a bunch of life, but he can be pushed.
Hulk will probably be a bit of a stretch for me. I don't think he'll be the next Hulk. Is there a good comparison here? I don't know if there is.
I mean, he doesn't have the
I think-
output. He doesn't have the defense.
Well, I agree that he doesn't have the defense to make his 8 points worth it long term outside of, like, Thanos has the defense, but Thanos has weaknesses. Like, Thanos can die. Like, there's things that kill Thanos, but it's things that, like, cause 7 or 8 hits at once. Those are the things he's scared of. He's not afraid of rapid fire pistols. Like, he just doesn't take damage from them. His defense is just so consistent that it doesn't happen. But I do think that you're onto something. I'm glad you said this, because I was waiting to say my point now. Is that I think that this is a playtest model. I think just like Loki was a playtest for Enchantress and that Ebony Maw was a playtest for Magneto, I think this is a playtest for Doom.
Bold words.
Bold words.
Or I actually think it'd be play test for like Doom or even like a Sentinel or something like that.
So, like, there's the big model aspect, but there's the functionality standpoint. I think the leadership concept, I think the attack types, the way he interacts with other models, I think that stuff is Doom playtest. Like, they're testing the waters on these mechanics they've kind of thought about, and they don't know how good they're going to be on the table, and so they're putting them on a model like this, and they're aiming low just in case. And then if it goes well, they're going to dial it in closer once they get a better idea what they're looking at. But yeah, the size 5 thing, obviously big models coming to the game is exciting because there's a lot of big stuff that could come in this way, like Sentinels. I don't think we're going to get Sentinels, but I do hope we do.
I bet we get Sentinel.
They just don't have any generic things in the game, and they've said repeatedly they don't want to add generic things to the game.
Well, that's true.
So if
There's
we-
no. Well,
Yeah.
let me be specific. It'll be like Nimrod. It'll be like a named super.
You think
Sentinel.
like Master Mold or like a specific Sentinel?
Yeah, it'll be like
And I could, if it did come out, it'd be like Sentinel, blah blah blah, from this story arc that got like the Polaris Sentinel from the animated show Wolverine and the X-Men. Did you watch that?
Yeah, no.
There's a Sentinel that they take this post-apocalyptic future. The Sentinels have taken over the planet. They turned on the humans. Blah blah blah. Polaris takes one of the Sentinels and like keeps it as a pet. And it ends up getting a name, and it has like this story arc with the X-Men, and it actually, they reprogram it and it protects them, and then like it ends up dying. It's a big deal in the storyline. Like one of the guys sacrifices the Sentinel for their like survival, and the girl who reprogrammed it is like, this was basically my pet. Like, you've killed a friend of mine, and like it causes this rift in the group. It was kind of interesting. But I think they could do something like that where it's like this specific Sentinel is coming into the game.
There are 2 super famous Sentinels that could easily be put in.
Yeah.
Nimrod.
But
and
I'm just
Bastion.
saying in general, that if they do it, it will be a known person or named Sentinel.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Nimrod is a good example.
So I think there'll be. I don't know if this character exactly is Doom, because I think Doom. I feel like Doom is going to be. I really hope this doesn't happen, but I feel like Doom is going to be. Like similar to Iron Man. I think it's going to be a really bland character who just stands there and blasts things. I hope he's not, but I feel like he will be. I feel
You're hoping he's going to be similar to Iron Man?
No, I have this feeling when they turn like Iron Man, this character who's supposed to be this super big, larger than life Marvel character, and they just make him a turret in this game.
He's in the core set. He's supposed to be simple and easy to play.
Sure. But I what I'm saying is, I bet they do. I bet they do something similar with Doom. I bet they do. I have this feeling. I have this weird feeling that Doom is going to be a very bland character. He's not going to be nearly as interesting as Dormammu.
Well, shut up, you're dumb. How about that?
I love Doom, and it will break my heart, like it breaks my heart every time I look at Iron Man's card, and I have to put it face down because I don't want to look at it anymore.
Excluding BattleBox characters that were only designed to help people learn the game, point at the model that they messed up on and made it too bland.
Okay, too bland a model in...
Yeah. They don't have flavorful rules, they're not interesting, and they were just obviously copy-paste rules that did not make sense.
Past.
It's just the core set stuff, because it's core set models. They're for demo games. You can't have the Amazing Spider-Man in a demo game. It doesn't work. No one will play your game. Like,
I see your point.
I'm so tired of the internet saying, well, Iron Man sucks. Like, shut up. You don't even know what you're fucking talking about.
Iron Man doesn't suck. I don't think he sucks. He's
not complicated. He's very simple.
Are we still on news?
Supposed to be. Yes, we are still on news.
Okay. Just wondering.
Dormammu's a cool character. Go play him. End of news.
Go play him. All right. Moving on, because Jeremy is tired.
I'm just wondering. I didn't know if I was still getting news or not.
Yeah, we're talking about Dormammu.
We're talking about Iron Man. Fucking, I don't know.
He wanted to talk about Iron Man.
It's always
right.
bringing up
moving on to currently playing. Parker, you have something you want to talk about?
I've been playing X-Force. Really enjoying X-Force. That being said, so far I've played 3 games, won 3 games, and no, 4? Yeah, 4. I played 4 games, won 4 games, but all of them I've gotten exactly what I wanted, which was 19-point games.
Parker has a beginner's luck still because he's only played 3 games.
Yeah, since I've only been able to play a couple games with it. But for those of you who not got to play X-Force yet, they are very fun because Cable is a really strong just like anchor for their really hardworking models. And that's basically what Brandon and I were staring at X-Force for a couple minutes. We're like, wait a minute, isn't X-Force just the 4 characters that aren't Cable? Aren't they just really superb? They're probably even better if they get to re-roll a dice. And if Cable's just
that,
they all have
you're stretching there.
They all have a wild that does something cool.
My argument was they were good despite Cable, because they're good as a group of 4, and then Cable can't be that bad, right?
Right.
That was my argument.
And while I've been playing Cable, he is one of the things even though he's 5 points, and I think there are other 5-point models that are centerpiece models that do crazy things, because Cable is usually way in the back and everybody else is in front of him because they're Wolverine, Sabretooth, and Deadpool. People can't usually get to Cable, and 5 dice with Incinerate just raining down on you all game long. He's very action efficient. When you think about this game, most characters in the game get 12 actions full stop. And when you think about how much you have to play scenario and how often you have to do things that your opponent forces you to do, you don't actually get that many attacks. Every time you can take one of those 12 actions and turn them into something that's not attacks, that's health you're not losing. But Cable, with a range 5 large base place effect that he always can put off because he's got 2 power a turn.
Medium base.
Medium base. But medium base and a 2 place that he can pop every turn means that it's very difficult to remove the 2 shots a turn. It's very difficult. So it's been it is just white damage that's going out every game. You got your awesome burst damage coming from Sabretooth and Wolverine, and Domino sometimes when she goes off. Deadpool's got a bunch of bang bang bangs off as well. They got all these like burst damage kind of characters, and then you got this very bland white damage, 2 shots a turn, shot. It's been really effective attrition list so far, and I've really been enjoying it. Mostly because, anybody who's listened to the podcast episodes, I've been trying to, think something really aggressive, something just up and at them, and X-Force is very up and at them. I still have space. I'm still learning, still tweaking the scenarios and stuff, but I like it a lot.
I have seen you and Josh. I know Josh listens to the podcast, so shout out Josh.
Yep.
I've seen you both play a lot of Deadpool lately, and it's infuriating me because you guys have gotten so astronomically lucky on the bangs. Like, I think it's actually hurting Josh a lot because he gets in this habit of getting within range 4 of somebody and then just banging until the game ends. And like he just leaves Deadpool within range 4 of somebody. He's like, I'm just gonna throw 4 dice at you all the game. But he was shooting at Scarlet Witch under magnetic refraction, and he was getting 5 hits on average per attack, and he was triggering the extra attacks. And so I was like this one turn of shooting, you probably did 4 times average number of hits on bangs because you kept chaining into extra attacks and you kept rolling like 4 or more hits on 4 dice, which is just astronomically ridiculous. And so I think it's actually teaching him a really bad habit to do that, and it works because it doesn't work. It's like a 20% chance to trigger the bang because you need a 1 in 8 and a 2 in 8 on the same roll of 4 dice for it to trigger, and you're averaging 2 hits. Like, it does almost nothing on average. It does have a high upside, but he's hit the upside like 9 out of 10 times in the last 2 games we played. And it still hasn't mattered, but I'm just worried that it's teaching him bad habits.
Yeah, bang. I would say that I've only had of the 4 games I've played, the first 2 bang never went off, but he was doing really consistent damage with range 4 because usually he's your character that is taking a scenario point that is not close to the combat, like not close to wherever the main combat is happening. He's the one you can spare. Domino would be great to do that as well, but she might be on the other one or otherwise occupied. Yeah. So far Daredevil's been kind of like, I'll send Daredevil over here because it'll be Deadpool. I'll send Deadpool over here because it's important to be for him to be over here for the purposes of winning the scenario. And so bang is usually the way that he contributes while he's doing that.
Sure. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm specifically talking about like he moved into the middle of nowhere, measured range 4 to Sabretooth, and just started shooting him. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Like the odds of you doing any permanent damage to Sabretooth is like a 10%. Like he's just going to heal whatever damage you do over 2 turns.
Right.
And you might just convince him to come over and stab you. Like, anyway, that was just my point. I just wanted to say that, and it's easier to talk to Josh this way than I can open Messenger.
Yeah. I've been really enjoying. I've been very, very, very much enjoying X-Force.
Yeah. From the games I've watched, I think X-Force are solid. I think we were a little harsh on them at first, but I was correct. They have a very obvious theme. It's murder the enemy.
Yeah.
It's walk forward and insert sharp metal things into their bodies. All right. So moving on, Jeremy, I have a note here from you that says you've rediscovered your passion for teaching people the game, and you're going to give up playing competitively to just do demo games. Is that correct?
Yes. I was hoping to get involved in some sort of local press ganger style situation. I don't want money. I don't want gifts or any prizes or anything. In fact, I love 2.5-hour games. I really do. I love teaching. Actually, folks, I don't like any of that.
So what you're saying is you're looking for some kind of P. Diddy-esque shrimping vessel.
You know what? You've got a pinky ring. I didn't think you were paying attention, but you are.
This guy is on it.
This guy really is. Actually, I don't mind teaching people the game, but my game time is limited like everyone else's. And there's plenty of new people. What I always hope is we can get people started and playing new people a lot.
This is like the hands-off business opportunity where money just comes in. I just gave them $10,000 and now I get $5,000 a month forever. Like that's the golden opportunity.
Yeah. I've had 2 days in a row where I've
definitely
done that.
Yeah, you had 2 solid weeks where you didn't get like an actual game in. It was all like learner games. Yeah, I get that. Suck it. Now you know what my life is like.
I didn't sign up for that though. I
didn't sign up for this.
I didn't sign up for that.
You used to be a press ganger. I couldn't become a press ganger to run tournaments because, and I quote, Jeremy Constance is already a press ganger. That was the response I got from Privateer Press.
Yep, and I had it. So fuck it. And now I am not. And now I am not. This is Marvel Crisis. They don't have that. They have you.
Nice. All right, so moving on. Let's see here. Next up is hobby projects. Parker, you are doing something that involves hobbies and/or projects.
I'm still assembling so many models. I don't know. Okay, actually, I'll ask you guys this. Because Brandon, I'll just say, I was complaining last time because I feel like I'm still assembling so many models. And you said, I feel like I could assemble 2 or 3 models in a night. And right now, I did assemble. I'm now up to like 3 models in a night, but a night is currently like 5 to 6 hours. When does this start getting faster? Is assembling models always this slow?
I mean, like on an average night, like when you come over, I can usually get like 4 to 6 models assembled, I would say.
So
It's just that, like, it kind of depends. It's like, how much time do you want to put into it? Are you doing anything, like, off schedule? Like, when you came over, I didn't finish assembling Lizard, but I also did a bunch of other stuff. Like, I fixed a bunch of terrain and stuff that I've been meaning to do because my terrain gets beat up when I go to tournaments.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, what gets faster? Is it the clipping them off the sprues? Is it the shaving?
Cleaning, the gluing, you kind of get an intuition about how to clean the models. These models are nice because there's basically no mold lines.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, when you're cleaning plastic models, you have to take your X-Acto knife and run it over the entire surface of the model in like a 180 degree or a 360 degree arc around the model because that's where the stamp came together.
Mm-hmm.
These models are designed to limit mold lines so that there's way less cleaning. So really, all we're talking about you need to do is you need to clip the things off the sprue, clean off the clip marks, and glue the model together. And we're talking like 7 or 8 pieces usually. Like that should take 20 minutes at most.
I mean,
And the problem is you're probably getting distracted or like working on other stuff, or you don't know how to put the model together. Like you're still like exploring dry fitting stuff when you're putting it together, and you'll get an intuition about the models when it's like, okay, I've looked at the picture of the model. I'm actually memorizing the pose it's in, and I'm memorizing where all the individual parts go. And so that way when I go to physically handle the model, I'm not constantly checking the instructions. Like, I don't use instructions when I assemble things. I look at the picture once, and I put the model together. Like,
I feel like
Jeremy, how long
20
does it
minutes
take you to make a model?
About 20 minutes a model.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can assemble basically any number of
3
models.
hours.
Any number of models in a setting if I decide to.
Yeah. I hit my one line when I couldn't do that. I was like, I'll just take all Saturday, and I bought like the entire Trolls faction. I had 2 stacks of boxes from Privateer Press that were 3 feet high on my table. I tried to do it all in one night, including pinning. I didn't quite get through it. I was close.
It took me 2 evenings to assemble the 22 models, which was my most I've ever had of this game, unpainted and unassembled.
Yeah.
But assembling it doesn't take that long. Like I say, 20 minutes of a model or 20 minutes of box, not even a model, shouldn't be that bad.
Well, like when I was assembling Lizard, the reason I didn't get done is because I decided I wanted to do a different thing for his base. And I wanted to use the medium base that has a manhole on it already as the manhole. And so I carved out the manhole off the base, sanded it down smooth, put a plug on the bottom, and then I have like an actual manhole built into the base instead of just gluing a manhole on top of a concrete slab. And then now I've assembled Lizard, and I just need to sculpt the water the way where it fits into the manhole, and then it's done. Like, I did all of that in like an hour.
It took me an hour to get that water piece together. Them sons of bitches. Like, I stared at how to put... It took me so long to get the
30
Lizard.
seconds.
I'm like, what is this?
It took us a few minutes to figure out how Lizard glued to the water.
That's what I mean.
That was a thing.
That's what I mean.
Okay, yeah, that took a few minutes.
I kept turning it, and I kept looking, and oh my god.
There's a big like void on the back of his leg that is very misleading as to how it accepts the water piece.
Yes.
And I was like, this is dumb.
Yeah, I kept doing it, and I'm
Anyway.
like, that doesn't fit. What is that?
Anyway,
so
still assembling things.
My hobby projects. John has finished painting all of my terrain and the models I gave him. I'm very excited to have that stuff back. I sealed all of it. I remagnetized all my terrain that didn't have magnets on it already, and I have a separate Magnarack tray now in my car that's just for extra terrain. It's very exciting. So I'm basically... I basically had this backlog of like damaged and like old projects that weren't quite finished, and so that's basically what I've done in the last week is get all that stuff caught up, and it's done now. Now I just need to move forward with new projects.
Good job.
Cool. Moving on. Let's see. Any other topics today? Okay. We have a topic we haven't done in a while that's going to be for today. And Parker, did you do a comic corner already?
Yeah, I got one.
You got one? Okay. Because I just see the one that's here, and that's not correct, and it threw me.
What?
In the document.
Yeah,
Oh, we didn't do it last time.
We didn't do it
That's
last
right.
time. That's still.
We
That's
didn't do
still.
it last- all right, so
I
we're
got one
good.
locked and
Okay.
loaded from last time. Yep.
Locked and loaded. All right. So, we are going to do the Daily Bugle, which is like news from around the world, and basically it's a pseudo mailbag segment. But we haven't gotten any mailbag questions that I've noticed. I need to check the email again. I checked it like 2 weeks ago. I didn't see any. The best way to contact me is message our Facebook page or message me on YouTube if you watch our stuff on YouTube. But yeah, please send us mailbag questions and we will answer them on the air, and it'll be fun. We'll do a whole thing about it. So we're going to talk about our podcast statistics because that's a whole fun thing to do right on air.
Oh, okay.
But I think we got some stuff I want to cover today. So first off, I know you have great expectations, and to deliver on these great expectations, I want to give you great news. Infamous, the Marvel Crisis Protocol podcast, is now the #1 podcast that covers Marvel Crisis Protocol and is Always Sunny in Philadelphia themed currently in Singapore.
Nice.
Guys, good job guys.
All right. Yeah.
We fucking did it.
We did it.
We've been really grinding on this one for a while, and we did it.
We've seen the top of the mountain, and it is good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, this is a great feat. I think we didn't think this was ever going to be possible.
Singapore.
So real quick, covering a couple other smaller notes. About 2/3 of our audience is in the U.S., which is pretty cool. We got about 10% in Canada. Covering some of these small. Jeremy, didn't you say there was a country you wanted to talk about specifically?
Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan. Okay, I don't think we have any listeners in Kazakhstan. But we do have listeners in Philippines, the United Kingdom, Germany, Australia, Denmark, Sweden, Iraq, Brazil, as previously mentioned, Singapore, Australia, Netherlands, Poland, and France. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate the listens.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys enjoy the episodes. We have an estimated audience size of 58 right now with over 2,600 plays.
God damn.
Dang.
Pretty cool.
Thank you, Singapore.
Pretty cool.
Someone's
Yeah, I know,
listened
right?
to us that
Shout out.
much.
I thought you guys would enjoy this segment.
Shout
This
out.
is good.
Let's see. There is something I wanted to bring up as well. Let me get the info in front of me. I don't want to give incorrect amounts. We do have 44 subscribers on our YouTube channel where we post our battle reports and a couple other things. And let's see. I wonder how many. Okay, will it just tell me how many views I have? I don't think it will. Oh well, we can look at that some other time. But it's pretty cool. I think it's been growing a little bit pretty consistently. So moving on to the Daily Bugle question. Since we are an Always Sunny in Philadelphia podcast, inspired podcast, I thought it would be fun to do a recast today. And that means that we're going to look at the cast of Always Sunny in Philadelphia, the core characters, which is Dennis, Dee, Mac, Charlie, and Frank. And we are going to choose who would play them if they were recast by Marvel characters. And so I was thinking we could start with Frank. I know I kind of dumped this on you guys last second, but who do you think would be a good Marvel character replacement for Frank?
Does that have to be in this game? Does that have to
No,
be in
just
the MCP?
Marvel in general, but I mean Marvel Crisis Protocol bonus points. Personally, I was going to go for either Kingpin or MODOK.
Toad.
Toad?
Toad. It's fucking Poindexter, man.
Is Poindexter? I don't know. I don't think Toad has the personality. I guess he was the Frog Kid. I guess
Yeah,
that
he
works.
was the frog kid.
He was the Frog Kid in the insane asylum.
He
for
knew this
nitwits.
frog.
Trash.
He knew this frog kid, and he
He's
was
a
the
trash
frog
man.
kid.
He is the trash man.
Now,
Yeah, I'm kind of liking Toad now. That's
I was
a
gonna
good
say
call.
for like image, like personal image, I would say I like Toad. But I was also gonna say for like visual, I would say Doc Ock. Like he actually resembles Doc Ock a little
Okay, I
bit.
could see that. I mean, obviously, if this was a DC game, he'd be Penguin, but we're just going to move right past that.
That's because he was. Yeah.
He was Penguin. That little dick biter monkey.
Yeah.
God.
Oh, shoot.
All right, so we got Toad and who did you say, Parker?
Doc Ock.
Doc Ock.
I like
Okay.
Doc Ock.
I don't know if I like Doc Ock. He is definitely devious, so I could see Doc Ock a little bit.
Also, Doc Ock
All right.
has this big this big kind of like he has a self-esteem issue, but he refuses to acknowledge it thing. Like he doesn't.
Mhm.
Like he's doggedly not going to let anyone know that he has a self-esteem issue. I think that's kind of what it is. I think it's denial.
Interesting.
He's in massive denial. Frank is
Mhm.
in denial sometimes.
All right, so moving on. Who do you guys want to do next? Do you guys have any ideas?
I think we should do Charlie next.
Charlie next?
Yeah.
He's
Wild
a
card.
ton-
Wild card. Is there someone that sings a lot? Because he likes to sing.
Gambit.
Um,
That doesn't work though.
No, he can't be Gambit. There's
No.
no way.
Gambit's
No,
too fucking
Gambit.
cool. He gets laid.
Way
Yeah,
too
Gambit-
savvy.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's too smooth.
hmm
He needs to be a bit spastic.
I keep thinking like X-Men Mansion, like all those.
I'm thinking like Morlocks, like someone who lives underground. Could he be Caliban?
No, Caliban's a real
No?
he's a real toned, like even tone, monotone.
Oh, is he? Okay.
You want somebody kind of manic. Because when I think of Charlie,
Mojo.
I think of
He could be Mojo.
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 No, nah.
You don't like that? I
No,
thought that
I
was
don't.
good.
I don't.
Fine.
I'm trying to think. Is there who in the Marvel universe?
I mean, actually, Deadpool would probably be a decent like linear.
yeah,
He's very comedic, over the top, like semi flamboyant guy.
right. Also, Charlie's kind of manic depressive, right? He'll like fly into these fantastic manic episodes, but then it'll also be
hmm
he'll like just bottom out.
hmm
Deadpool does the same thing. I think Deadpool would probably be a good pick.
He's very
actually.
excitable.
Very
He's
excitable.
easily excitable, yeah.
Okay.
hmm It really just depends on how much cheese you give him.
What's cheese? Spaghetti in a bag.
How much cheese is too much cheese? Any amount of cheese is too much cheese. I had a whole block of cheese. I'm sorry. This guy in the bathroom wouldn't give me a shirt.
God.
All right. So moving on, we got Mac. Who would Mac be?
I don't know. He's all buys and tries.
Mac is like an overly macho douchebag, basically.
Craven.
super over the top.
Craven's
Craven? I
good.
guess I could see Craven.
Craven is an overly
I see
macho
Craven as more of
douchebag.
like a country Mac kind of character.
Country Mac.
Country
There you go.
Mac.
Hmm.
I want to
think
Is there
say
anybody else?
like Gaston from Disney.
Yeah, because Don.
Like, can we just go like fictional characters? I don't know.
No, we go.
They're
Let's
all-
stick with Marvel.
They're all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Who's another? It's funny. I went through heroes in this little game for like 2 seconds, and I realized they're basically all villains. Like I can't think of.
They are all villains.
They are all
the only
villains.
one that's even close is Charlie.
Yeah,
Everyone else is hardline villain.
yeah.
I was thinking maybe Avalanche, because Avalanche seems like a cocky douchebag most of the time.
Yeah, I think he is. I think you're right. Avalanche. Oh, you're
He
you're,
doesn't-
draw,
he
you're
doesn't
drawing on
get
the
a lot of screen time.
you're
though.
drawing on the cartoon there. I think. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I like
I
Craven
just
a
keep
lot.
thinking. I just keep adding in the part of like, which one thinks they might be gay but are not sure. Like, there's just all those Mac things that he's got going on. Like,
Yeah.
what? Oh God.
Oh, I got another one for you. Star Lord, I think is a good Mac.
Oh, there you
Just-
go.
I can see. I think
That could
Star Lord
work.
would have been a good Charlie too. That
Yeah,
probably
maybe.
would have been a good Charlie.
I think it's a bit more of a Mac. Cause Star Lord's kind of full of himself. Charlie, I don't know. If, Charlie's not really full of
Okay.
himself. Self-important, right? Mac is very self-important.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not against that. I could see that one. All right, so do we have anybody else for Mac? We good with Mac being Star Lord?
I like that.
God, I thought I had one. I can't remember it now. I had one for him yesterday, and it's not coming back to me. Maybe Wolverine.
For Mac,
Wolverine's very macho.
for Mac,
Yeah.
yeah, but does Mac have that kind of like honorable part where it's kind of like there's a matter of honor? I don't.
No,
That's
he
not
doesn't.
really him. Because he's very like Wolverine's character is very much a Bushido based character.
Mhm.
This whole idea of like
Yeah.
honorable whatever, honorable revenge, honorable death.
Yeah. All right. We'll go with Star-Lord. So moving on, we have Deandra.
I actually thought instantly for her is what I thought Nebula.
Oh yeah.
For the masochism, like she's very like also the instability, like she's very. I also thought Sin for the instability.
Yeah.
Also Sin because
she's more depressed than unstable though.
Right. But she has like the past, right? The constant allusion to how horrible she was to people in the past, and sadism, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're all like big narcissists.
Yeah. I feel like Sin maybe I don't know if she's as unhinged as Sin, but she's pretty unhinged.
Yeah.
I actually kind of like, even though this is not we're not talking about Dennis yet. I feel like Dennis Red Skull and D as Sin, even though that's it's father and daughter relationship there, but ignoring the familial part, just the fact that they're both just kind of sadists, masochists, deviants, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also incredibly ridiculously self-important, like it's only about themselves and they'll do it's whatever.
So how about this? I know if the rest of the gang was choosing a character to be D, I think they would choose Jubilee because she's annoying and pointless at everything she does, and she's just like the extra fifth member that doesn't need to be there but is always there, taking up all the time and being annoying and loud.
Maybe
so I think that could work, but they don't have anything similar to personalities. Well, I guess Jubilee is very troubled, like with like her position in the world and stuff. Like I guess that could work too. But if we were doing just MCP, it'd be Viper for sure. Because he's like, why are you here? You shouldn't exist. Like, just go away. Nobody wants you here. All right, so Parker, do you still think Sin?
I still think Sin. I think that's mine.
Jeremy, do you have an opinion?
I don't have an opinion on her. I can't figure that one out.
All right. I have one for Dennis. Dennis is next. I have one for Dennis.
Okay.
I want to know what you guys think before I pollute your opinions.
I was trying to think of. I actually think maybe Kingpin, but he's not really. He doesn't really want an empire. But
no, he wants the illusion of power. He doesn't actually want power.
Right, but that's the thing. He wants. The thing about Dennis is he's always. He thinks he's so clever. Like he's always tricking everyone. And of course he's not clever. That's the joke. But he thinks he's so clever. That's what I was trying to get to. Fisk thinks.
Yeah, he has this massive overinflated ego.
Yeah, he projects. He projects an upstanding citizen, right? But he's really not. Maybe for that reason, maybe Zemo. Like, Zemo thinks he's hot shit, and Dennis does think he deserves like being amazing. Like he believes he deserves it. Maybe Zemo. I'm only thinking of villains for these characters. I can't even think of a hero.
I immediately. I think
it's
Carnage.
hard to think of heroes.
I think Dennis is Carnage. Ooh. He's a fucking monster.
I like where your head's at. I disagree, but I like where your head's at.
Yeah.
He is a complete psycho.
Yeah.
Yes.
Zero.
I don't know if he's the murder people in an alleyway psycho, but he definitely, I could see him doing it. All right, I'm going to tell you guys what I think. I hope you agree. Are you ready?
Ooh, I have another good one. Go.
Mr. Sinister.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Very manipulative.
He's super dark, and he's super obsessed with like perfection and like making like himself like into the perfect male form. But mostly, he's just a fucking psycho. And
he's very manipulative. He prides himself on manipulating others.
He's very manipulative. He's definitely into kidnapping people.
You're right. I think you got that nail on the head. I was going to say Mysterio, but that's good. That's better. Much better.
Mm-hmm.
That's really good.
Yeah, I think Sinister is the best comparison of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do you guys have any other options for Dennis? You like Sinister?
Sounds fine.
That one's the best one I think so far, by far.
Okay, so we have Sinister for Dennis. D was What did we end up on for D?
Sin?
Sin?
Yeah, I like Sin still.
Is either Sin or Jubilee, I think. I like Jubilee more, but I can understand Sin. I think Sin is a little out there for D. That's a little dark.
But maybe go right in the middle. Go Viper, because she's also
Viper,
sadistic, but conniving and.
I wish.
Yeah.
Is there a bird character? Oh, we could do Wasp. Like that way she has little brittle bones.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a bird.
A bird? Yeah, there's really no bird.
Is there a sparrow?
The only one.
I was gonna say
a hawk.
Captain Falcon's bird.
Yeah.
Red Wing.
She's Red Wing.
Yeah. She's Red Wing.
Just the Falcon. That is the Captain Falcon's Falcon.
I think I like Jubilee because D isn't overly dark. She doesn't really do anything crazy over the top without like being extremely provoked first. Like she gets set on fire multiple times before she like loses her shit. I like Jubilee the most there, but yeah, I think Sin and Viper are both reasonable. Moving on to Mac, we did. What did we do for Mac? Craven? We talked about Craven. Is that where we landed? Star-Lord for Mac. Okay. Which again is probably too much on the hero side, but it kind of works. Charlie is Deadpool, and then Frank is Toad. Right? We said Toad because he's the Frog Boy. All right. Nice. That was fun. I like that. I hope you guys didn't hate it too much. All right, Parker, hit us with some knowledge in your corner of comics.
All right. So for Comic Corner today, I actually had. If you have seen his show, then you know a little bit about Daredevil. That's how most people know him, I think, in modern, because MCP usually gets to people before comic books. But if you want to read a comic book about the origin of a character, I don't think you can do much better than Daredevil, the Man Without Fear. It was a mini-series, originally a 5-issue comic book, and it was done by the amazing Frank Miller, and the artist was John Romita Jr., same people responsible for the reinvention of the Dark Knight. And they basically gave Daredevil the same treatment that they gave Batman. And if you've the modern interpretation of Daredevil that we saw in the television show is based upon Frank Miller and John Romita Jr.'s version of Daredevil that they did in the early 90s. And so if you like Daredevil in MCP, when you want to see a good comic for him, you need to read Daredevil Man Without Fear. I actually think that anybody who likes comic books should read this miniseries, because it is as masterful as anything that they get commented for the Dark Knight. I know they got famous. Miller and Romita got famous for doing the Dark Knight, and that's where everyone has read that. Like everyone's read Watchmen or any of those other kind of seminal comics, but lesser known miniseries, very, very strong. It doesn't break any molds. It doesn't tell a story that nobody's heard before. Young Matt Murdock, his father is embroiled with the mob because he's a fantastic boxer called the Devil Murdoch, and he's embroiled with the mob, and he starts taking falls for the mob in order to make more money to support his son, because his son had gotten an accident that left him blind because some radioactive chemicals spilled on his face in a car accident. Everything you know about the original Daredevil story, it's just done so masterfully. It shows his transformation, how it is that he becomes a blind kid into the Daredevil. It tells a really provocative version of his tie-ins with the mob and the streets of Hell's Kitchen, and you get to meet Elektra. The current interpretation of Elektra is also from The Man Without Fear, and their version of Elektra is awesome. She's seductive and dark and super, super tainted, and that's one of the big themes of Daredevil The Man Without Fear, is this idea that you can get close to the darkness, but if you go all the way into it, then you're gone, right? And so that's what Elektra represents, is supposedly a good soul that just dove into the darkness of what people can do and can't come back out, even though she wants to. And she meets Matt, who gets as close as he can without going in. And really fantastic story. If you've never read a Daredevil comic, or if you've read some before but you didn't know why his current interpretation looks the way that it does, read Daredevil The Man Without Fear. Super, super duper strong.
Cool. Alrighty, well, I guess that's going to wrap it up for us today. Hopefully you guys had fun, and this has been Brandon.
And Parker.
Dormagor Constagon. Jeremy. Ugar. Jeremy. Hello?
No Dr. Toboggan MDs today?
No, it was Parker today. Dr. Mantis Toboggan
Just Parker? Okay.
is an alias.
Nice.
All right. And you have just listened to Parker Has Come to Bargain.
So what are we going to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down infamous.
Crisis Averted. That's how you say it.
Avertade. Is that a thing?
Averted. I once got into a disagreement with 3 people. One was myself. Both of the other people were my roommates. One of them was a fencing instructor, just for reference. The other was not a fencing instructor.
Sounds like a joke.
It seems like a setup joke, doesn't it? But this happened in real life. I can introduce you to the people if you need to fact check it.
Okay.
I said riposte, and then one of the people said, no, it's riposte. And I said, oh, I didn't know that. I've always said riposte. And then the third person says, you're both idiots, it's riposte. And it 100% was not joking. He argued the point for about 20 minutes. I'll let you guess which one was the fencing instructor.
Riposte? Anyway. I don't know.
Yeah, riposte. The fencer said riposte, and then the random person said riposte. And then we both just kind of deadpan to him. We're like, "You're kidding, right? Like, you see the letters we're looking at, right?"
Yeah.
All right. So I've been watching more of Lilyhammer, which is on Netflix. I guess it's like a Netflix original show.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys familiar? I think I mentioned it before.
Yep, I've watched it.
So.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I've watched the first couple episodes.
It's getting... Well, I think I'm through the first season now. But it's getting more interesting now that I kind of care about the characters. It is annoying to watch because about half the show's in subtitles because they're in Norway, which means like they speak other languages, which is very offensive to me as an American. Because I've been to Europe, and I definitely did not speak any other languages, and I just forced my way through it. I felt like such an asshat the whole time. Mm-hmm. I was like, I had to learn how to play my army. I didn't have time to learn how to speak the languages.
You ignorant fuck.
Yeah, but anyway, it's kind of entertaining because you guys seen that episode of Rick and Morty where they do the dating app, and they get on the alien ship, and they're like, take us to the leader or, like, we'll punch you. And he's like, what? He's like, do you have a gun? No. Then we'll punch you. We'll punch you a lot. He's like, fine, I'll take you to the leaders. It's like, and they just keep doing that, and it keeps working. And they get to the alien overlord, and they're like, you take the app down or we'll punch you. And he's like, does someone here have a gun? He's like, it's on its way. He's like, then the app stays up. Like, they're like, shit. And that feels a lot like Lilyhammer because they're a very peaceful, small, like, country. They're not used to, like, organized crime and stuff. And so he gets there, and he's not even a tough guy. He's just a gangster. like just old-timey gangster dude who knows that rules don't matter unless you can actually enforce them. And so he just gets in situations like, no, I'll just slap you around until you tell me what I want to hear. And it's like, you can't do that. That's illegal. He's like, yeah, I know. They're like, well, all right, you can have it then. like they don't know how to respond. It's like we're only police. We haven't trained for this level of violence.
I believe it's the first Netflix original show, Lilyhammer.
Was it really?
Yeah, I think that was the first thing that they did. Find it look good. I'd watch it if I wasn't in the middle of watching other dumb shows.
Oh yeah, what are you watching?
Right now, I started watching Outer Banks, which seems okay.
I don't think I've heard of that one.
It's kind of a newer one. It's just a bunch of young adults go running around looking for treasure and get into trouble. Like, I don't know. Whatever. It's like Goonies.
Sounds like Goonies. I was gonna say,
Yeah.
sounds like Goonies.
Yeah.
It's like Goonies, but like they're like older. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Goonies, but sexual tension, I guess. I don't.
Cool.
You gonna go see Suicide Squad 2, The Suiciding, or
In
whatever?
theaters?
I'm gonna go
God,
see it.
no.
I'm fucking going to see it. It's by Wakiti,
Why?
but it's a good director, man.
Oh, Taika Waititi.
No, it's not by him. I'm making that up. But it
Yeah.
is
Oh.
by Gunn, the best director of
James Gunn.
Guardians of the Galaxy at the time.
I mean, if you're gonna try and rip off Guardians of the Galaxy, you might as well hire James Gunn. You know, like it kind of makes sense.
Yep.
I mean, it doesn't matter. DC had Christopher Nolan and Joss Whedon, and they fucking made 2 bad movies back to back. Like, it really doesn't matter. It's like those fucking toxic tire fires of horribleness. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, how'd they pull that off? I don't know, but they did.
How did they pull it off? Well, like burning $100 billion in the street? Yeah,
Listen,
I don't know how they did it.
If it doesn't
How
work,
complicated.
if it doesn't work out exactly as you want, make a 6-hour epic version of it, and then it'll be great. That's
That-
their plan.
The fucking neckbeard idiots that love DC are just like
Neckbeard
on like they're too afraid to admit what they wanted wasn't good.
Oh my god.
It's like, just let Nolan do his stuff, and then like it comes out like it's so good. I hope like they don't even like want to say their actual opinions. God, I've seen about a total of 3 minutes of screen time of Aquaman from like random commercials and stuff, and it was physically painful. I don't
Oh, it
know
was bad.
how you make a movie that bad. Like, it was painful to watch. And you know they, like, supercut it for the previews, right? Like, they try and make it look interesting. What the fuck? Like, it looks so bad. Parker, how many times did you see Aquaman in theaters?
I didn't see Aquaman ever.
Oh, okay, good.
I saw the highlight reel of it. That's how I do movies now. I don't feel
You
like I
just
have.
watch the highlight reel?
Yeah, I don't feel like I have enough time to figure out what's actually going on. So I watch the highlights.
Oh, well, don't
And-
worry. There's nothing to figure out in Aquaman.
Yeah, I don't think I missed much.
Like I just wish Jason Momoa would take his shirt off for Christ's sake. I know that's coming. Like that's it. What else would you be there for? There's no story.
I wish. Well, the great thing is, DC Comics, for all the shitty things they did, when they did the New 52, when they actually like redid all their titles and tried to modernize them, kind of like the Ultimate Universe thing in Marvel, they did a really good job with some characters. And the best one for me was actually Aquaman. The Aquaman they did in the New 52 comics was fantastic. Like, he was really good and really interesting. Super like powerful character. Everything else was just felt like, soap opera drama, bad writing, but Aquaman was great. But they didn't do that Aquaman. They did Jason Momoa basically be himself, also underwater.
So I watched Invincible again, and all I know is every time I hear the word Aquaman, I see that image of that one guy just puking water on everything and just like point it and water's firing out. And I'm like, is that a power? That's all I can see.
It's not a power.
Just vomiting water on everybody. So weird.
Cool. Are you guys excited to get started?
Yep.
Should we jump right into it?
Let's do it.
Sure enough.
All right. And Parker's going to waste like half our time on this fucking Dormammu crap.
Okay. Enlighten me.
I have a feeling this is actually going to take me like 4 minutes, and then you guys will have to talk. I designed this so that you could talk also.
I refuse.
I'm not saying anything.
Jesus.
I've never talked before.
I've never heard of Dormammu.
This is going to be a great podcast. Let's go.
Parker, I need you to tell us about all the story arcs Dormammu's ever been in and all the ones he's won.
Okay.
Start now. There's not enough time.
Yeah. Oh, God. I just started reading your crap. Okay, are you ready, Jeremy?
Sure.
All right, let me make some notes. I think our last episode was pretty well received. Unfortunately, Jeremy forgot how to count So like we released 2 days late for no reason.
You didn't just trust me that I had the right one.
Yeah, no, because when I was like, Jeremy, send me episode 45, and you sent episode 44, and I was like, Jeremy, that's not what I asked for. Can you please send episode 45? Then you sent episode 44B, and I was like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck is... That's not how counting works. You don't just add letters to the end of it. And then eventually you explained that, oh, I just labeled it that. I'm like, well, why didn't you just change the label so I would know? It's like, I'm Jeremy.
I forgot.
Thanks.
Listen.
At first...
Do
I
my
assumed
best.
at first that because when it said episode 44 and there wasn't 2 episode 44s, I assumed that you just forgot to upload it or your internet broke or something. And so I was like, okay, well, I just gotta wait for him to upload it. And then you finally upload it the next day and it's 44B. And I'm like, what have you done? Like, this is not what I wanted.
Well, I was like, what have you done? I don't know what I did. Like, I couldn't figure that one out.
Yeah. It was a mess. All right, here we go. For news time. He needs more news time.
News.
News.
Blade.
Goodbye.
Bye.
And we're out. It's over. Podcast done. It's in the can.
Done. Check.
Dunzos. Finite. El finisho. We did it, guys.
Okay.
It's a whole episode.
I am suffering. I'm gonna. Can we clap?
Did you like shove a AA battery up your nose?
No, it's my throat is
Mm.
going on fire.
So it's not a sinus infection. It's a throat infection.
It's COVID.
You got the Rona.
That's possible technically, but
It's technically possible. It can do anything, even make you get hit by a bus. All right, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it early. Oh wait, there was something I wanted to ask you. Hold on, real quick. Oh yeah. Who has not seen Black Widow?
I have not.
Okay, so Jeremy's seen it.
Mhm.
Parker has not. So spoilers for Black Widow. Nothing else will happen though. So if you don't want to listen to Black Widow spoilers, turn off the podcast. I was a big fan of the fact that they made the villain of the movie a real Harvey Weinstein type. That's my
they
favorite
did,
part.
didn't they?
It was so bad. It looked
I didn't
just
even
like
put that
him,
together.
and
Good
he was
call.
so skeezy.
Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I have to collect all the little girls. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
god.
I
It was
didn't put
pretty
that together.
dark.
That's awesome.
Did you not connect those two?
No, I didn't. But now that
Uh,
you said it, it fucking blows
yeah.
my mind.
Yeah.
Didn't
I
kinda look like
give
him.
the movie about a 6 out of 10. I liked everything about the movie except the final action scenes, which were just way over the top and obviously bad CGI. That was a little disappointing. It felt like they cut the movie like 70% of the way done and then said we'll do it in post because there was a pandemic, is what it felt like. Because there's a lot of, like, they didn't use motion capture for that. Like, no human being's body moves like that. It looks like she just, like, jumps out of a window, turns into a doll, ragdolls over the side of a building, and then turns into a person again. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, those little, like, squeezy, like, desk ornaments that collapse. It was like that. It's like, all right, is a person, obvious CG, is a person again. Like, okay.
Ragdoll.
Yeah. So that's all I wanted to point out. All right, cool. All right, so you guys ready to stop?
Sure.